Do you wonder what happens to your money when you donate to a charity? Like most of you, I want to be sure that my contributions to a charitable organization have the largest possible impact. My guest today has a lot to say about that. Hi, this is Marlena Fiol from Becoming Who We Truly Are, a YouTube channel that deepens our understanding of who we are and what's possible for us. If you find value in this video, please give it a thumbs up. It makes a big difference. I'm privileged and honored to introduce today's guest, Dr. Graber Hershberger. She's the Executive Director of the Mennonite Central Committee. The Mennonite Central Committee, which is referred to as MCC, is a global nonprofit organization focused on providing relief, development, and peace in over 50 countries worldwide. In 2020, MCC celebrated its 100th anniversary. This mug has the MCC logo on it. Not sure if you can see that. You'll love how honestly and vulnerably Anne talks about MCC's brilliant achievements, but also some of their costly blunders along the way. Among other things, she shares how MCC is addressing its own internal need for cultural change and the challenges it faces in balancing the need on the one hand to keep a lid on financial overhead with the desire to expand its services. Are you more or less likely to trust an organization that reveals its failures as well as its successes? If you'd like to listen to my hour-long interview with Dr. Hershberger, I've posted the link to the web address below. And at the end of this episode, we'll provide recommendations for additional materials about services that provide relief, development, peace, and justice in the world. And welcome. It's wonderful to have you on the show. So MCC focuses on relief, development, and peace. Can you comment on why these three versus any number of other possible initiatives?
I would suggest that those three respond to the broadest way to look at need. So if you think about the word relief, that's an old word that's still used. It's that human impulse to offer the cup of water, to offer the loaf of bread, to offer the clothing that somebody might need. But it's not enough, the development. And it's the old idea of helping people help themselves, giving them the tools they need.
Yes.
And peace comes out of our faith tradition.
In 2019, MCC supported 648 projects in 53 countries around the world and worked with 453 different partner organizations, spending nearly $16 million on relief, somewhere near $40 million on development, and I think $13 million on peace building. From an outsider's perspective, this appears to be a fairly typical NGO. What makes it unique as a Mennonite organization?
I would say that a learning posture would be one of the most unique. The second would be that peace building is woven into all that we do.
Yeah.
So when we set up an emergency aid distribution, we're looking at how do we set this up that will decrease conflict between groups?
Yeah.
How do we set up an education project that will increase peace building among students of different ethnic backgrounds or religious backgrounds?
Would you describe for our listeners the underlying, as you see it, the underlying interdependency of economic development and peace building?
Well, you can bring or bring new ideas, or you can bring things and money into a community. But if you don't address the basic or work with the community, let the community address their own their own conflicts, whether that be interreligious, whether that be related to gender, whether that be related to class, ethnic background, you can exacerbate those conflicts. You have to expose and understand and explore and talk about conflict before you can get to peace.
Since its inception in 1920, MCC has collected and shipped somewhere around 1.5 million tons of humanitarian resources to over 100 different countries. Stuff like clothing, food, medical equipment, medicines, blankets, school kits. And I just want to inject a little personal note here. When I was a kid, missionary, daughter of missionary, MCC missionaries in Paraguay, we received MCC Christmas bundles every year, and they had toys and hygiene supplies. And we distributed these to our leprosy patients and to the workers on our leprosy station. And it was the most joyous event of Christmas as I remember it. And I describe this at length in my new book, Nothing Bad Between Us. I understand that the nature of relief and humanitarian aid has shifted over the years. How has this changed and why?
And we just had a session in the Akron office about, I think in January, looking back at those kits and sort of being amused at things we wouldn't necessarily do now, but realizing it came out of a heart of giving and trying to address a need. Yes, things have changed, both in terms of creation care. Shipping things is not a great idea. It's not necessarily the best idea. Plus, local economies are affected. So if somebody locally makes blankets, you don't want to ship blankets there. Mm-hmm. If we don't want to ship meat where there is a thriving meat market, used clothing was one of the biggest pivots that we had to make in the 70s. We realized we were putting tailors out of business.
I just want to again emphasize for our listeners that MCC has over 450 different partner organizations. Getting all of these partners involved in planning and in the distribution process, it certainly makes it more likely that the items shipped will meet local needs. What challenges does this raise?
Part of the challenge is if a partner works with a group of people that know that things are available, like meat or school kits, they might ask for that over grants that will help them employ local teachers, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So part of the challenge is not offering too much, mm-hmm. And saying, what is it that you need here? Would we be better off doing a local purchase rather than sending things? So that's probably the biggest challenge. Another challenge is, of course, in our own supporters in U.S. and Canada. It sometimes we need to help people pivot and say, no, we don't need more of X item. We need money to buy locally, and that's not as fun, for mm-hmm. a partner. Mm-hmm. I mean, for a constituent. So that's part part of the biggest challenge, I would guess. Yeah. And of course, anytime you send items, there's things that's stuck in customs. Some of it gets diverted into local markets and doesn't reach its destination, and those are all kinds of problems. Yeah. Now, another interesting happened in the 80s when we were in Nicaragua, when there had been some shipments of clothing offered that the local church in Nicaragua actually was requesting. But what was offered from this group in Canada was a huge number of men's polyester suits. And so we talked with this group of of women who were trying to start a little store with that said in the church, and we said, this probably won't work. What do you think? Oh no, they said, we'll take care of that. You just send them. So sure enough, they came, and those women turned those polyester navy blue suits into school uniforms.
Oh my goodness.
A pant leg became a skirt or a vest. It was amazing.
That's a great story. And one of the aspects of MCC today that I value so highly is that although it never hides its identity and its roots as Christian, its commitment is to serve anyone in need. I read recently about an Indonesian MCC worker who came to visit Ohio. And when he was asked, why did MCC build a school for Muslim people after the tsunami? His answer was, because they needed it.
We do have ongoing support for the work that brings together people of goodwill from many faiths.
This has been a rich and very meaningful conversation, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. If you found value in this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Also, please post any questions or comments you might have for me. I am interested, and I will respond each day. For example, what do you think about the kind of work that MCC is doing? In addition, just so you know, I'll be posting a new episode of this YouTube show each Tuesday at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. For further information on organizations focusing on peace and justice, we recommend the following resources. First, a TED Talk by Ernesto Cirolli on sustainable economic development. Also, check out the YouTube introduction of a peace and justice program. And for a look at my personal experiences as daughter of MCC medical missionaries in Paraguay, we recommend my memoir, which was released in 2020 by Mango Publishing, Nothing Bad Between Us. The web addresses of each of these are in the show notes. And remember, we are together on this journey.